Breaking data this morning from Statistics Canada, the latest inflation numbers in the country. This is for the price as going back to October. Senior business correspondent Peter Armstrong is with us this morning. He also writes the newsletter Mind Your Business and is with us every Monday to talk about that. Everything that we've been buying, the prices of those articles, Peter, going up, up, up. And what happened in the month of October?
Yeah, well, look, prices are still going up. You're not going crazy. Everything is more expensive. The thing we were looking for here is just how much more expensive, right? We've been on this really good trend of inflation kind of decelerating since the last, 3 months? And then we're expecting to see an uptick in October. Why? Largely because of resurgence in the price of gas. You know, we saw in September, price of gas fell pretty considerably and everybody was super relieved. And then it bounced back in October, not by nearly as much as we had seen over the course of the summer, but it bounced back. And that's obviously going to add to inflation here. You know, everything is still more expensive. And I think it's really important that people remember that even if we get inflation back down to that 2 to 3% window that they talk about all the time, prices aren't going to go back to where they were. Prices are only going to continue going up, just hopefully at a more manageable scale. And, you know, let's use food as an example. The price of food has been off the charts. Everybody knows that. Price growth for food actually slowed from September to October. But if you actually look at the numbers, it slowed in September. In September, it was 10.3%. In October, 10.1%. So yeah, that slowed. And yeah, from, you know, when you dig into the numbers and see what are the various curves doing, that's great news. It's progress. But for consumers, for people at home trying to get their groceries, this is not fantastic news. It's in the right direction. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, you're still seeing these huge increases in what we're paying year over year for food, for furniture, for clothing, for just about everything. And that's why the Bank of Canada has been acting so aggressively to try to get this back under control.
So that's the question. Then what happens come December the 7th when we get the next interest rate decision? If things are starting to go in the right direction, do we still need these ever-increasing interest rates, Peter?
You know, I sat down with the Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem last week, and we talked about that. And he says, look, we haven't seen enough progress yet. We haven't seen what we need to see in terms of a sustainable deceleration of inflation. So he thinks there's still more room to go on the monetary policy side, meaning another rate hike is coming. Anybody with a variable rate mortgage is going to be unhappy with me saying that. But that's where it looks like we're headed. You know, this is better than we had been expecting. I think a lot of economists had been expecting a 7.4 or a 7.2% year over year inflation rate. So it being unchanged at 6.9 is, as I say, it's progress. We're seeing those 3 and 6 month curves of inflation that are actually really decelerating now. And that's fantastic news. But the bank remains convinced that the economy is still running too hot. We just added, what, Heather, 108,000 jobs in October because the economy is running hot enough to warrant it, running hot enough that employers had to go out and hire new people. So the bank remains convinced, or at least did last week, that the economy is running hot enough to warrant at least another rate hike in December. Where that goes from here, I mean, you know, there's a lot of people saying we'll probably see some kind of a rate hike. Will that be a 0.25, a 25 basis point hike, or a 50 basis point hike? We don't know. But a lot of people seem to think there will be some kind of a hike in December. And then once we get into the new year, they can hit the pause button and assess. Because remember, monetary policy takes a while to work its way into the economy. And man, we've had a bunch of hikes over these last, whatever it is, since March. You know, we were at 0.25%. We're now at 3.75%. If we hike again, we're going to get up over 4% for that overnight rate. That's a really fast rate of increases in monetary policy.
I am sensing the makings of a very interesting newsletter here over the weekend. You'll be getting that set for us on Monday, and we'll talk to you then. Thank you, Peter.
You bet.
Our senior business correspondent, Peter Armstrong.